We're gonna be mature and responsible adults and supercharge my one reliable vehicle, my Tacoma. You see, I've had the Tacoma for about a year, and if you own this generation of Tacoma, you'll understand. These things they're just dog water for power. We just took the Tacoma on a 4,000-mile road trip from Seattle to Iowa, and then Iowa to Denver, and Denver to back here. And I've noticed a couple things. The Tacoma just doesn't have much power. It doesn't have enough. Going up mountains, going up hills, especially between like 65 and 85 miles per hour with the cruise control on, I feel like the truck wants to kill itself, because if you've experienced it, it will hold itself at red line to try to maintain speed going up a very slight incline. Now I know you can do things like the overland torque tune and things like that. That does help quite a bit. But I've been eyeballing the Supercharger kit for quite some time, and I told myself that if I kept the Tacoma for a year, I can supercharge it. I've had the Tacoma over a year, so we're supercharging it. On the table behind me right here, we've got the Magnuson Supercharger kit. I did get this set up for the factory engine, so I believe that's only gonna be about 6 to 7 PSI, but that should be enough to be able to get the Tacoma where I want. So I've allocated about 2 days for this install. It's going to be rather extensive. The bumper is going to have to come off, which is going to be a real pain in the butt because I've got the winch, I've got the steel bars and everything on here, so I'm not looking forward to that. But I need to get all this powder coated anyways, again, because the powder coat's failing on it and it looks like it's starting to rust in some spots. And Magnuson gives us quite a bit of things on the table here. We've got the Supercharger itself, the intercooler. This is actually air to water intercooler, and it connects via this plate here, so you can see the intercooler there, supercharger there. We have a lower intake manifold. We're gonna have to swap over all of our port injectors. This does use Toyota's D4S. You can actually see it right on the top here. So this engine is direct injected and port injected. I do not know how my little ass is gonna get up in here to work on this, but we'll figure that out. Intake manifolds, all the hoses, the belts, electric water pump for the Supercharger. They give us an additional radiator, which we're gonna have to fit in there, which I don't know where that's going to go with my winch and everything in here, so we're gonna have to figure all that out here in a little bit. Relays, electrical stuff, brackets, pulleys, hoses, tubes, all sorts of stuff here. So let me open up the instructions here, get a little bit familiar with what we're gonna be doing, and let's start tearing apart my one reliable vehicle. Through some of the preliminary steps with the Tacoma before the actual install, which is gonna be things like open the fuel cap door, drain the oil, pull the fuel pump fuse, disconnect the battery, things like that. And once we get through all of that, I'll kind of walk you guys through what I've done, and then we'll actually start on the install because it's an 80-page book. This is a book that they give you. It's literally step by step, so I mean anybody can do this, but it's literally an 80-page book. So let me get to work tearing the Tacoma apart. They have had us remove the grill. Kind of a pain in the ass with the bumper. If you have an aftermarket bumper, you may have to take your bumper off or not. That's gonna depend on you. Drained the coolant down there. The oil has been drained also. Radiator cap's been popped off. I think that's all we've done at this point. And I just took off the engine cover. So now they want us to come up here and start working in the engine bay. So I'm assuming we're gonna start working towards getting this intake manifold off. It's gonna be throttle body, intake manifold. This hose here is gonna come off. They do give us a replacement. MAF sensor needs to be unplugged. So for the most part, it's not too terrible. They do have really good instructions. And if you're somewhat mechanically inclined, these do go by rather quickly. So let's jump up into the engine bay and start ripping this apart a little bit more. I have to give it to Magnuson. These instructions are probably the greatest things I have seen, because they have everything in such good detail. Completely remove the bracket at this point by removing the bolt on the timing cover. The bracket and both bolts will not be reused. Where is this one at? Alright, upper intake manifold is free. We're going as far as taking off that lower manifold too. There's a lot of stuff down there. We've got the old lower intake manifold here, the new lower intake manifold here, so we need to swap over the fuel injectors, the fuel rail, all this stuff over to this one. Orientation wise, make sure you do have them set up so that way you don't accidentally try to put the fuel rail on backwards. But let's go ahead and start pulling all this off. Looks like it's just 4 bolts, and then take everything out, translate it to this one, we should be good. Man, dude, this engine is dirty. We're gonna definitely clean up the inside of the ports as much as we can. Okay, so I'm pretty sure I can just lift this whole thing up. Why doesn't this side feel like it wants to come out? Okay, there it goes. Okay, so fuel rail's out. There are some of these black spacers that are chilling that we're gonna need. There's also the lower fuel rail seals or fuel injector seals. Now on these injectors here, I wanna flip this upside down. I'm gonna just clean off the tip. If your injectors also all are covered in carbon and whatnot, take a couple minutes to clean them up, doesn't hurt. So now we've got all those cleaned up, we can go ahead and start getting this ready. The injector spacers sit right here, and then I'm gonna need those blocks again to get the injector seated in this manifold here. I'm gonna need this guy here, so that way the injectors aren't just sitting. All of the injectors back into their homes. Do it somewhat carefully so that way we don't damage any of the injectors. Just like the injectors, if you guys look in here, if I just take my finger and I wipe, that is nasty. So I'm gonna take a couple minutes and clean out the inside of each cylinder head intake port and get as much of that out as I can real quick, because if it's already off, I might as well clean it. Intake ports are all cleaned up and the lower intake manifold is all installed. The bolts for this torqued down to 18 foot-pounds. Also plugged in the high pressure fuel rail, the fuel injectors for the passenger side and the driver side back there, as well as got the fuel line retaining clip back on with the fuel line. So at this point, they want us to start removing what appears to be like the radiator fan, remove the plastic clips at the arrow locations holding the top radiator. Yeah, so it looks like we're moving to some radiator stuff next, and water pump pulleys, and wow, there's a lot of stuff that we're about to do. All right, cool. Looks like we are going into the depths of the Tacoma down there next. All right, those are out of the way. I'm assuming take this off. How do I unhook that? Oh, I think I broke it. Oh, it's one of these. Okay, no, I can do it, I can do it, I can do it. Use a 12mm wrench to loosen the 4 nuts holding the radiator fan blade to the pulley shown. There's 1 loose. There's 2 loose. Where'd my 12 just go? No. Okay, there's 3 loose. It's just the clutch fan that we're loosening right here. It's this tab right here.
Hold on, let me see if I can just get this fan out real quick.
Are you able to get the fan out? I can do the fan.
Now that made it a whole lot easier.
You did just make it a whole lot easier.
No, it's just wrapped around the strip, okay?
Hey, gracias, senor. They even said in the instructions, having a second person help you will make this easier.
So that?
Yeah, it does, look. Right here. This step is easier with 2 people.
See, they've been through it.
They know.
That's good. I really, you know what? That makes me want to go with Magnuson now.
Right? I'm not gonna be able to show you guys this part because I can't get a camera in here, but down there is our oil cooler, and we have to add in the oil cooler spacer plate. So let me just get this installed and then I'll show you what it looks like, because right now there's literally no way for me to be able to even get the camera to point in there because my tripod is not tall enough. I don't do a lot of truck videos, so you know, I didn't necessarily plan for my tripod not being able to reach. Everything down here was kind of a pain in the butt. I would say follow the instructions. There's a spacer plate that has to go in your oil cooler right there. You have to take the stock studs out of the engine, transfer them to the plate, get the plate on there, then get the oil cooler back on there. It's a little bit of a pain. This plate here for all the Supercharger pulleys, you're gonna want a second person to help you because you need to take tension off of the serpentine belt in order to get this plate on, because that pulley bolts through this plate into the engine. So you're gonna want somebody to have, there's a pulley underneath this pulley behind it back there that'll pull tension off the belt. Have somebody hold that while you put this plate on, and then you're gonna be good. So all of the Supercharger pulleys are on, the oil sandwich plate adapter spacer guys on, and then also the crank pulley down there that is provided with the kit. That was a huge pain in the butt. I sat on that bolt with my Ugga Dugga until it eventually came off. It's a 22 millimeter and it's torqued to like 240 foot-pounds or something like that. I literally sat there with my 1/2-inch impact just going at that bolt for probably a good 2 minutes, just letting it do it. It heated up the bolt enough, and then with the torque from the 1/2-inch impact, it was finally able to get it out. Getting the new one in, same thing. They do suggest putting a oil-resistant silicone on the bolt, so I did do that as well. I did notice some oil came out when I took that off. That's totally normal. So at this point, we are moving on to doing the harness and hose routing. This part looks like it's gonna suck for me because I need to get a radiator in here, and I have obviously my winch and everything right in the freaking way. That is out of the way. I can just kind of move that over here. Kind of. Thought I was onto something here. Oh, I got it. Come down. I need this to go up and through this tab. Oh, come on, we're right there. It's a wire harness now. It's just a wire harness that's in the way. Oh, did we do it? We did it, man. Now, give me a moment to figure out how the hell I'm gonna get this center hood latch bracket back in and everything else, because at the moment I have no idea how I'm gonna do that. If you're installing this kit and you have a winch and you don't want to give up the winch for your Supercharger, go ahead and just do what I did. I pushed the water pump off to the right a little bit. I drilled 2 holes here, one of them for the locating tab on the bracket supplied from Magnuson. Drilled another hole, inserted a riv nut into it, obviously squished that down so that way I could bolt it up. And then our water pump just sits offset next to the winch, so that way we still have our winch, because we do take this up into the mountains. You guys don't ever see any Tacoma videos because, well, I mean, whenever we go up into the mountains, we just go up there to have fun with the Tacoma and whatnot and go off-roading. So I wanted to keep my winch, obviously, because if I ever get stuck up there, I would like to have the winch. So I opted to push the water pump off to the right and you'll be totally fine. We got the water pump hoses in. This was kind of a pain in the butt, but this little one just kind of loops up from the water pump to the Griffin radiator. They call it like a low temp radiator or something. I'm just gonna call it a radiator. Loops up there. We've got the other long hose. It's got like a big 90, wraps under the bumper here, comes out there, up into the engine bay where we've got both of these hoses. I don't know where those go quite yet. So, and this other hose comes off the top of that Griffin radiator right there. So at this point, Magnuson now says we can start prepping the Supercharger. Thankfully, on step 190, you finally get to start prepping the Supercharger. This portion of the Supercharger houses the air to water intercooler in it. So those are removed. Are there bolts inside of this? I bet, oh, there's bolts inside of this. So I'm assuming we remove this. Okay, that makes sense. There are definitely bolts underneath of this. Gather the following 8 M8 by 30 bolts and apply blue Loctite to them. Do not use the dish head bolt. To be honest, That looks about right. That does look right. Oh, I might want to pull out the paper towels that are in there. That would have really sucked. It looks right because the supercharger has to go here, right? One right there. Upper intake manifold. Bolted on. I've Loctited down so many things today.
And so you actually lengthen your runners, and it allows you to go like this. Yep.
Oh God, there's a camera in my way.
Yeah, it's either a 15 or a 9/16. It might be a standard bolt. Scan tools. Yeah, I bet you're gonna hear the whine.
You think it'll whine? I hope it whines.
It's a twin screw.
I hope it whines. Do twin screws whine?
Yeah.
Is it gonna give me the wah? Is it gonna sound like a Hellcat?
No.
I got the Hell Tacoma.
Not that one.
The Helloma. What?
You need 2 more cylinders for that there, but
These aren't.
they're 10.
12! If it's gonna whine, now I'm excited.
It's like a gear drum whine. Yeah, it'll whine a little bit. Upgrade injector on this thing? 7 all the way.
With the supercharger mounted, we can actually move on to getting the throttle body back on. So we're gonna put our gasket in here. This is just the OEM gasket that I took off the old one. So far, like, this install hasn't been hard. For the most part, I think anybody who has the will to want to learn or has the drive to want to do any of this like basic mechanical stuff, you could totally do it. Like, I don't see any reason why you couldn't. Before I put the throttle body on, I'm gonna plug in the IAT sensor harness right there, so that way once the throttle body's on, it's not gonna be kind of it won't be a huge pain in the butt to have to get it out. We have our throttle body coolant lines that need to go back on here. So that guy's gonna go there. This guy goes on here. So in that last section of the instructions, they had us get the actual supercharger installed. The supercharger support brackets, there's one here, bolts to this metal piece, it slides behind it, to the engine, and then 2 to the supercharger up here behind the pulley. Then we've got the other one back here that bolts up to the factory bracket here, and then to the supercharger back there. PCV line's gonna go here from the factory spot back here. This is a supplied hose from Magnuson. So at this point, I think they're having us move to evap routing, so we can at least knock that out. We're on page 61 out of like 74, so we're actually almost done. This is about a day install. We will be finishing this tomorrow, but I want to get as far as we can tonight, so we have less to do tomorrow. On the evap solenoid over here, this had me confused. The bracket is going to go up and down with the little oval piece down here. You've got this piece of the evap solenoid that comes out, goes to the manifold here. You've got the factory one. Now I mentioned I cut this down. I cut it right at this 90 so that way it would flow a little bit better and kind of fit a bit better in my opinion. You can do it however you want, but I feel like that is just kind of where it sits. A little more natural. So at this point, we are jumping over to the coolant reservoir and the belt installation, which I might have my handy helper back here help me put the belt on. On the side of the supercharger, there's these 3 tabs, and that's gonna be for this coolant reservoir. They, once again, specified, put Loctite on the bolt. There we go. This hose goes on there. That was violent. You say that was comical? So this guy's gonna come up and go on the back side of that. So install the belt with the smooth side riding. It's fucking tangled! Stop! So as I spin the engine, I want you to try to push that, okay? Okay. You ready?
Yep. Ooh, okay.
Careful. There we go.
So yeah, it looks like
It's on.
Itself down there too.
Look at that. Look at that. Supercharger belt is on. That was honestly kind of a pain in the butt. If you have a second person and they're willing to help, have them get the belt pretty situated first. Spin the engine over. That'll spin the belt, and then it should walk itself on. So, supercharger belt. You're kosher. At this stage, we have the supercharger installed. We have a couple things left to do. I've got the grill and everything back on, just tossed all that on. We have a couple things left to do. We need to fill up the cooling system for the supercharger itself. We need to fill up the cooling system for the truck, and we need to put a new oil filter and oil. Reconnect the battery, upload the tune onto the truck, and then we should be good to go and do a test drive on it. With this, I don't know if I'm gonna keep the Magnuson tune or if I'm gonna get a different tune. I know I can get a different tune and kind of turn the truck up a little bit, but we'll see kind of how the Magnuson one feels, because, I mean, I don't know. I haven't driven it yet. So let's do the oil filter first. I'm gonna have to crawl under the truck where there's a ton of spilled oil down there because I made an absolute mess. Now that the truck is supercharged, I'm actually using 520 versus 020. So not a huge change, but a little bit. To be fair, it's kind of just what the store had, so. And while the supercharger gravity bleeds, we'll get some coolant back in the Tacoma. These gravity bleed as much as we can right now. Get as much air out of the system, let it all kind of burp up. We're gonna have to do this, we're gonna have to burp the supercharger and the radiator, which will be fine, it's not a big deal. I just hope that I have enough coolant. I still have the factory coolant, I just gotta clean it if we do use that. I've got the tuning dongle plugged into the truck. I don't want to start it, I don't want to do anything yet. I'm gonna plug into it, read the instructions, and follow the prompt. Please make sure your keys are as near to the start stop button as possible. I can put them a little bit closer right there. Are you kidding me? Manual document to calibration. Fill form 2. Why am I filling out form 2? 24 hours? Oh my God. All right, I submitted the form. I'm gonna give them like 2 hours, and if I don't hear back from them, I'm gonna try calling them. That's my bad. I should have read these prior, because there's a form 1 and a form 2 for the truck, for the supercharger. So, okay, at this point, I guess we're just playing the waiting game. So I'm gonna clean up the shop a bit. We are a couple hours in the future. Magnuson came in clutch and sent us the tune file. There it goes, it's doing its thing. Do not unplug this device. Never thought I'd be tuning the Tacoma. After we get it tuned, or after we have the tune on there, we need to burp the cooling system. We'll do a couple little test laps around here. Brake override malfunction, wow. We'll take it for a couple little test laps around the shop and go get it out on the road. Huge shout out to Magnuson. Like A, their product fits like OEM. B, their instructions are phenomenal. C, they give you everything you need in the kit. D, emailing them, dude, I sent the form over and I was like, you guys, I accidentally trapped myself at my shop. This is my only working vehicle right now. I was like, please, I hope you guys see this before the end of the day today, so that way I'm not stuck here till Monday. But huge shout out to Magnuson. I honestly couldn't suggest. I paid full price for this product. I do not work with Magnuson or anything like that, but I honestly couldn't suggest enough. Like any other cars I supercharge in the future will probably be through Magnuson, with just the sheer quality of the product and the support that I've had. Programming complete, or user has canceled. It says program, okay. While I was flashing the truck for codes, the water pump for the supercharger kicked on and kind of purged all the air out. So that is all good to go now. So now we just have to burp the cooling system, which I'm gonna put a little, I'll wait to put coolant in the overflow. So I'm gonna go ahead and start the truck, just let it idle with the heat and everything on to get any air out of the cooling system. the coolant that's in here, I'm gonna put in the overflow because the overflow is pretty much empty. Probably not all of it, but some of it. Squeeze your radiator hose, get some to come up and out. Take that guy off. Go take this thing for a little test drive. We'll drive it around the shop parking lot first, just to get a feel for things. It's gonna have to go through some ECU learning, so it's probably gonna take a couple miles for this thing to actually like start getting dialed in, but that's okay. Let's give this a little test drive. Now, with the Supercharger, I'm not expecting this thing to be crazy fast either, okay? Let's get that out of the way right now. But I'm expecting it to be a little bit quicker, especially on an off-the-shelf tune, because we're just on an off-the-shelf tune right now from Magnuson. So it's not like this thing has a custom tune or custom calibration on it. Okay, just on tip-in, I mean, it does feel quicker on tip-in. It does feel quicker. It does it does feel quicker. It does feel quicker. Okay, hang on. It is noticeable. Like I said, it's not a crazy power gain, but it's enough. It's quicker. Yeah, it's noticeably quicker. Dude, that's so sick. That's so sick. You don't really get the Supercharger whine that it dictates, but it is sick. I have some garbage I gotta throw away real quick. And I'm gonna give it another little hit here. I want to clarify that. I don't want somebody to watch this video and then go out and spend $7,000 on the Supercharger kit and be like, what the hell, my truck's not fast. It's not. There are other tune options that will make the truck quicker, but the off-the-shelf tune ain't gonna do it.
Where's the speed, the supercharge speed?
Dude, it's in there.
I don't hear nothing.
It's not big enough to whine.
No.
Or the pulley's not small enough to whine.
Does it feel?
It feels quicker.
Does it?
It doesn't feel fast, but it feels quicker. Like, you have a second gen, you know, they're dog shit slow.
It is. It drives me fucking nuts.
Yeah, there's no
fast.
acceleration, there's no nothing. No, dude, it's got like a 6 PSI pulley right now on it, and it's not fast, but it's quick. Which I don't need it to be fast.
No, you just need,
yeah, it's my daily. I just wanted a little extra. Because, like, on the freeway, when you go to pass someone,
yes,
you're, like, floored to try to get past anyone.
Yeah, horrible.
Yeah, because is yours an auto?
Yes.
Yeah, so you know.
Yes.
I don't trust the truck enough yet to make that. Probably would have been fine, but yeah, we don't know each other like this yet. Okay, yeah, she picks up. That is noticeable. That is so noticeable. That's already so worth it. Just on tip-in, pulling out, dude, the truck actually wants to pick up and go. $4.70 a gallon, dude. God. Crunchy. Noticeable. Like I said, quick, not fast. Quick, not fast. Like I said, I don't want people to go into this with the expectation that they put the Supercharger on their truck's immediately gonna be fast and it's gonna be like so fucking like, quick, fast. No, that's not what it's gonna be, but it's actually going to make the truck respond how it should, in my opinion. When you hit the throttle now, there's not this like weird rev hang, like it doesn't know what it wants to be doing. It responds, it does what you want. Now, one of the other issues that I noticed I did have with the Tacoma, dude, it wants to go. Like, that's like tip in, like that's not watt. I don't know if I want to do a watt pull with it. trying to give the ECU a little bit of time to adapt and learn. We'll do 1 watt pole in this video, but I want to give the ECU a little bit of time to adapt and learn and whatnot. But it actually feels like it wants to respond now, and it actually feels like it wants to go. One of the issues I had, and this can be solved via tuning or other things, but with the addition of putting a supercharger on for a little bit more power, it also fixed this issue. This issue was the throttle input. On the Tacoma, if you go to hit the throttle, you will maybe get some type of response out of the truck. Half the time, like on our road trip, I could go 95% throttle input, and it's not going to do anything until I go that extra 5%, and then it's actually going to start going when I want it to. Now, the throttle actually responds accordingly to make the truck move. It feels so much better. You can hear a little bit of whine. You can hear a little bit of whine out of it. And like I said, it fixes the issues I had with the acceleration aspect of the truck where it accelerated like dog poop. It actually accelerates now. It's quick. It feels like it picks up a lot faster. And I did hear a little bit of supercharger whine that time. Just a little bit. I might take this down to the dyno and toss on the dyno to see how much power it makes. I'm not expecting it'll make a gobs of power, but I'm kind of curious. There we got it. There we have it, guys. Honestly, it was about a day-long install. I started pretty late. I started at like noon yesterday, and we wrapped up around 11 p.m. And then we had to wait for the tune and everything else to come in. But if this is something that you're interested in, if you're somewhat mechanically inclined, you could totally knock this install out in a day. Probably quicker if you have a buddy helping you along the way, because I was doing it pretty much all by myself. I had a little bit of help here and there, but for the most part, you could probably knock it out quick. But that's all I got for you guys on this one. I will say I do think the supercharger is worth it. If you genuinely like the Tacoma and you enjoy your Tacoma, I think it's worth it. It fixes all the drivability issues I had with the car, the acceleration issues. At $7,000, I do think it is a little bit of a hard sell, but with the instructions, the support, everything fitting like OEM, it's honestly a really good kit. I've installed a lot of turbo kits in the past, and I've had a lot of like cheaper ones fit like absolute ass. So I would say it's worth it. I'm happy with it, but that's up to you to decide if you do end up wanting one. But with that, that's all I got for you guys on this one. Like I said, I'll probably end up retuning the Tacoma for a little bit more power anyways, but that'll be in the near future. So with that, if you guys like the video, you know what to do. Go ahead, hit that like button, turn it black, blue, green, yellow, purple, silver, cyan, whatever color it turns for you. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel and you want to be able to put it in one of these corners, no idea which one quite yet, but with that, I will catch you guys in the next one. So peace out, homies.